Sorry the video cut off. But what I'm sitting here doing is I'm just going over some things because what I was saying on the last part of the video is that what I was starting to say is I watched something and I even came across a couple articles um, that was talking about how companies recouped the money that was lost after during the pandemic, how a lot of companies lost money and stuff. These major corporations, they recouped their money that they so-called lost, and due to the inflation, but they have yet to lower the prices. And one of my points is these corporations, along with the taxes, the IRS, all of this stuff, um, is going to be the fall of America. That's what I call America, America, because it is a mess. And so that is, and I'm going to show a couple articles, and you can look at it for yourself. But that is going to be because America is a corporation. Before I ain't gonna even get into that, but America is a corporation. At least not right now. America is a corporation now, and it's going to be the corporations, the companies are going to be the fall of America because things are too expensive. So let's take a look at a few articles here. And as I was going to this page, I just these advertisements, man. The advertisement industry, that's why I don't have no ads on my videos. That's why I don't want any monetized videos because I know it comes with ads and all of that stuff. I buy the YouTube Premium, because I don't want to. I'm tired of seeing ads. You can't even go on a page without seeing an ad, and so I'm just tired of that. But this is one of the articles. I'm gonna give whoever this is credit. I ain't gonna listen to him, but yeah, the reason why people ain't shopping like they used to is because y'all have gotten over and continuously raised these prices, even though y'all have recouped y'all money. And the games that y'all play when it's talking about um, a game of chicken. So what that means is how some of these stores, how they have a alleged Black Friday deal. They had a Black Friday sign up, and then you'll pull the sign back, and then it's the same price as the regular sign. Games like that. Yeah, because they are losing out. IKEA slash prices. Look, incomes fail to keep up. Costs rising about 20 to 30% higher. And I mean, it's even worse in these apartments, man, because it's like these landlords, they won't even come in. I mean, I love my apartment, but my apartment that I left, I mean, every year they raise the rent. Every year, but they won't even come in and to paint the apartment. But they raising the rent. Then a new company take over and they raise the rent. It's just like, man, juicing sales. Retail sales overall haven't been terrible, but they're not also absolutely great, says Zach Stamber. Yeah, I bet. Zach. He know the game. Look, sales are rising though, because people be having money. They just want the best deal. And I definitely don't uh hate that. I mean, I'm a consumer too. They teach you to say that at CASCOM with they old shady asses. Baby, I used to make some money at CASCOM, okay? I used to make some money. And damn that representative that went in, Travis, if you really went in and told Wendy that she was just jealous of you because you make more money than her. So it was this rumor that this dude he told the site director at the time that she was the site director, and she was bougie and um I mean, she played the role, but you could tell, she was not really too fond, you know. But we used to make some money at CASCOM. I came in on the tail end of that, 2016. And right before the pandemic, they had started making plans on, working behind the scenes to cut our commission and stuff like that. Man, it was representatives in there that was making six figures. Six figures. And they really try to sit and play in your face. Oh no, this is helping you. This is, it's like, no, it's not. This is helping you. This is helping a company. This is not benefiting us. But I feel sorry for them people. You got to sit in those manager roles and lie to people. And I believe that's going to be a part of judgment too. Some of you corporate people that sat high up in them positions, making them decisions, knowing that you're taking money out of, knowing that you're taking money out of people's pockets, and then coming around lying to them. But we signed it, we agreed to it. You was kind, if you didn't have a job. So as inflation falls, corporate America won't rush to pay the price. This old geezer, ew. What do I say? Too many things are unaffordable. Stop the price gouging. No one wants to be the first to cut the prices. Of course not. And you can read on. But anyway, you can read, those articles for yourself. But a lot of people know. I mean, some people ain't dumb. They know that these corporations have made their money back, and they continue just to raise the prices and raise the prices. And it's like, what do you expect people to do? Like, that's how man. It's these corporations, but it's humans behind these corporations making these decisions. And we all saw what happened with that CEO from United Healthcare. It's coming down the pipeline though, because people don't understand in America, people don't understand um, until something like that happens. until people get fed up. It's gonna happen. But I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna reread what I already read, just to kind of go back and go forward. A lot of our people don't understand the truth of the black man, Judah, being part of the nation of Israel, and the propaganda and lies concerning the people who stole our identity. The Holocaust is an event that is used for them to get ahead of everyone else. This event did not even happen over here, and yet America sends billions to Israel annually. In 2020, U.S. gave $3.8 billion in aid to Israel, part of a long-term yearly commitment made under the Obama administration. Almost all of this aid was for military assistance. This support came as a part of an agreement signed by former President Barack Obama in 2016 for an overall package of $38 billion in military aid over the decade 2017 through 2028, and it's just they still got three more years. This is one of the scams. Why are we sending all that money over to false Israel when we have a huge homeless crisis in our own country? I am outraged. When are we going to face the fact that Obama was not sent to be a savior of black people? And I voted for him the first time, but not the second time. In fact, I haven't voted since, and won't, because I am no longer playing these folks' games. Although, like I said, I did vote for Kamala, and I gave my reasons why. Kamala was not talking about trying to be a dictator. Kamala was not trying to talk about removing the U.S. Constitution. Kamala was not trying to talk about removing diversity, equity, and inclusion, and just an array of other things. Okay, and so those were my key points. Do I agree with everything? Hell no. No, I don't. But to stop a dictatorship from happening, all I can say is, yeah, I am pro-black and all of that. Yeah, all of that. I'm the real pro-black. Yeah. And but at the same point in time, I mean, what's coming in don't sound too great with this whole Project 2025, and we kind of see the workings of it now. With this whole, these, straight white men are trying to portray like they're this, like they're the oppressed group, when nobody has put them in chains, nobody has sexually assaulted them, nobody has made rules for them where they can't drink out of this water fountain. Nobody has tied them up and barbecued them. We didn't do that stuff. Okay? Y'all had white only pies. Remember that? Huh? We didn't have nigga pies. And well, we did. We do. But you love that too. It was some boys. It was some boys, and like I said, I don't take no offense to these guys. These are my guys, but they was talking, and one of them was like, this one, he's half white and Asian, and he's a cool guy. He's young, and he was like, yeah, man, I'm a YN, and I'm like, no, you're not. No, you're not. I was like, and you will want to be a YN until it's you that's in Dante Wright's position. until it's you in Philando Castile's position, until it's you in George Floyd's position, until it's you in Sandra Bland's position, until it's you in Tamir Rice's position, who was a child that got pulled up on like they was an adult. And what's the lady, you know, one of the most recent ones, that lady, I forget her name. Yeah, I forget her name at this time, but, you know, and I do apologize for her family for that, but I know what happened. You know, these, like I say all the time, these people, they want our culture, they want our swag, they want our rhythm, but they do not want our blues. They don't. They want the walk, they want the talk, but they don't want the racial profiling that it comes with. You know, they want to be young niggas, but they don't want to be in Khalif Browder's place. I think that's his name. Rest in peace. That's that boy that they literally took off the street and just put him in jail. And I think he was in there for 3 years. He ended up, you know, committing the S word afterwards. They want our rhythm, but they don't want our blues. But I don't get offended because I already know this. I already know this. They just don't know it. So, I mean, I just feel like the world has came into a place where it upholds negativity, like abuse, like self-degradation, like the degrading of oneself. And I think that white folks, there's a certain sect of white people, the straight white men, that have forgotten why DEI had to be formed. Like I said, y'all the one that came out with y'all white only pies. Our nigga pies was for everybody. We was even forced to make nigga pies for y'all, sweet potato pies. You know, y'all got y'all pumpkin pie, we got our sweet potato pie. So, and like I said on one of the videos, oh, y'all had y'all white power. Oh, y'all did. And you see what that did. Our black power was about building unity. At its core, KRS-One and the conscious rappers and what the Black Panther Party originally stood for, that was about unity. Your white power was about taking people out. Your white power was about a natural selection, blonde hair and blue eyes, which are the weakest genes. Those are the weakest genes to have, blonde hair and blue eyes. Isn't that ironic? The irony in it. This Aryan race, what they uphold, blonde hair and blue eyes, those are the weakest recessive genes to have. But we see what your white power do. Your white power creates redlining. Your redlining created the black holes. Your white power was so focused on us. I mean, your white power was nothing but focused on us. That's why you can't remember it. Because you was too focused on us. With your white power. Like I said, your white power created the black codes. It created redlining. It created Jim Crow. It created the Trail of Tears. It created the 20-year war. It created the inside job of the Twin Towers. We know what happened with that. And to all my victims, I am not negating what happened to your family, what happened to you. What I'm saying is, don't look at the people with these on their head by themselves. Nah. You need to look at them bushes. You need to look at who was friends with them Saudis. This was all a big scheme. They done this. And then it's so hard for simple people to believe, because Becky and Jim, you sitting there, how could they think something? Because you wouldn't, Becky and Jim. But that don't mean because you wouldn't, that don't mean old Georgie boy wouldn't. Just because you wouldn't, that don't mean he would. Or that don't mean he wouldn't, because he did. You can't tell me that wasn't no inside job. You can't tell me. I remember watching videos of numerous, I mean, it's like we want to believe the experts until it's against you. I watched numerous experts, fire chiefs, building experts. And you know, some of them that I watch, I said, oh, he don't even got to say nothing. Just by his look, I know he know what he talking about. You know some of them old white dudes named Jim or Bill. They could tell you the whole goddamn building, from the sprinkler system to the point of the top of the building. You have people like them testifying. You have firefighters. Come on now. You have firefighters. It was a group of them saying that as they was running down, they heard bombs going off on each floor. Building 7. Nothing happened in that building. But it came down. Come on, man. We don't want to believe this stuff. But it's just like, that's the spirit of America. We don't want to believe it. And then even when it's put in some people's face, it's like they don't want to look at it, because they don't want to believe that somebody could be that. Get the out of here. Should have put you in the building for being so dumb. Wake up. You could be hardcore when it's against the faggots. Oh yeah. You can be hardcore when it's against your enemy, but you just couldn't imagine that somebody just would do something like that. Well, they did. And that is why this country is paying for its sins of not only the natives, but the Negroes and Latinos and the numerous casualties of ritual sacrifices like that of 9/11. Because that's what that was. A sacrifice. They tore down, we shall rebuild. Oh, but the Most High is going to throw down. That's what you don't know. Well, they do know. They know. But, yeah. It's a group. White men. Now they want to play like they these victims. But it was your grandpappy with his coward ass that was riding around with a hood on, burning churches, bombing churches with 4 young kids in them. Remember that? Black bodies in the summer's breeze, strange fruit. That's all I want them to hear when it's their turn. Because he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. Guess what? It was some good black folk that went into slavery, that was captured, that was over there in Africa minding their own business. They ain't did nothing. Well, we did, but I mean, that's another story. They ain't did nothing to you. We don't have anything to do with that. I mean, that was years ago. But you benefit from it today. You do. So, enough with that nonsense. You're nothing but a laughing stock. You're not marginalized. The reason why we had to go with diversity, equity, and inclusion is because of you. Because even when our people who was qualified applied for the job, you would not give it to them. We were not treated fairly. You created laws to deny us for homes. Then when we built our own town, here you come. You did science experiments on us. We didn't do that to you. You're not oppressed. But you are losers. Those that believe that, you are a loser. And the reason why you feel like that is because you feel it in your bones. You feel it in your soul. You know what's coming. That's why you feel like that. See, because it starts in the spiritual and then it manifests in the physical. That's why you feel like that. Even though I did vote for Kamala, in the back of my mind, I wanted to see that man get in office because it's going to come a time. I know that their downfall is coming. They're going to have the biggest downfall. They're going to have the biggest downfall. And people that try to help them, people that try to... I feel bad for you. I feel bad for you. Because sometimes when people are going through judgment, sometimes when they're being punished, you trying to help and you trying to save them, and you're going to get right what they getting. It starts in the spiritual, and then it manifests in the physical. He that leadeth into captivity shall be taken in captivity. I think it was the Serbians or something like that. Was it the Serbians? Yay, Serbians. Go Serbians. I think that's who. Man, I had paused the video because I was trying to find that scripture that that said that who they was gonna be sold to, but I could not find that. But I read that somewhere that they are going to be sold in the end. So when I come across it, I will let you know. But anyway, like I said, Obama was not sent to be the savior of black people. And I literally have a video of him saying that people didn't need a Messiah. I already had that in my previous video. So, but like I said, he was not sent to be a savior for Black people, and I voted for him for the first time, but not the second time. I haven't voted since, and won't because I'm no longer playing these folks' game. Obama did for everyone else but us. These politicians do nothing but play on our Black folk emotions and show us day to day how we only matter when it's time to vote. What about our ancestors that jumped off the ship because they refuse to play these people's government game as well? It's like, when are we, the people, going to wake up? This country rides the hell out of us for taxes, and you see all this crap with the debt ceiling. Maybe if our government stops giving all of our resources and aid away, there will be no debt ceiling. Black folk, do you want reparations? Well, check out this article from BBC and look at how much money is being given away to other countries. There are our reparations. They don't care about our vote either. This is all a scam. Whether you are the left wing or the right wing, just keep in mind that both wings are attached to the same raggedy ass, broke, dirty bird. And how are the two wings of the same bird fighting? I thought the bird had control over both of its wings. Maybe the wings fighting is what is keeping the bird from flying. How do you have billions to give out for a lottery, but there's a debt ceiling? What about all the money wasted on the military equipment that was just left over in the Middle East of Africa? U.S. left behind $7 billion of military equipment in Afghanistan after 2021 withdrawal. Pentagon report says, and I showed you the link for that already. All right, where I left off. But you want us to pay taxes for this crap that the country is pulling? This is not fair to the Mexican people as a whole. Even white people should be outraged about all the money that is being wasted. Seriously, does anybody give a damn about this? Because I am really pissed off. I am struggling to make ends meet. I worked 2 jobs at that time, no government assistance, and I live alone. I can't tell you how many times I wanted to give up, but I use my anger as fuel because one day someone is going to hear my mouth, my thoughts, and baby, there will be hell to pay. I can't stand you senators, Congress, hell, none of you. All you do is lie. You think you are, except for Jasmine Crockett, I think that's her name. I do like her. I do like her. You think you are so much doing all this rallying, building up all this momentum, but it's all just hot air. You are not doing anything for the people. I think every last one of you should be fired, except for Jasmine Crockett. But I do agree with what happened on January 6th. But I do not agree with what happened on January 6th. Income tax? How can you tax me on my labor? I think that is a form of slavery. But even then, I could buy into your whole, well, it's for the country. But according to BCC and CNN, that's a damn lie. I go to take a loan out against my 401k and I get taxed again on the same money that you already taxed. How is this fair? Car insurance is another scam. If I don't get into an accident, I should get 2/3 of my money back at the end of the term. These corporations are a major part of the problem in this country as well. But I'm getting too far off in one of my rants. I was speaking on the Holocaust and how we should not be funding the false state of Israel. I always wonder why I never hear of the Jewish speaking on the other 5 million victims or prisoners of war. I wonder why there is hardly any mention of the Black Sinti, sometimes referred to as gypsies, and gay people that were also murdered by Hitler. Hitler was a monster that believed his race was superior to all races, not just Jewish people. Even though these people are all the same bloodline, speaking in regard to Hitler and the Ashkenazi Jewish converts that come from Japheth. Because if you're Ashkenazi, Jewish, you're not from Shem. The Sephardic ones are, but you Ashkenazi are not. You come from Japheth. That's who you come from. Sorry to let you know. But there is a reason that majority of the time when you hear about the Holocaust, you only hear about the Jewish people. If you knew about the others, the gays, the gypsies, physically challenged slash deformed, it would take away from their narrative that they would later try to push. This was a package planned by the imposter Jewish and the elite white people. The wickedness and high places of the NWO, New World Order, so that now when we begin to wake up, the sympathy and understanding the atrocities that will be related to Judah, which was predicted a thousand years before they happened, would be hijacked by the new Holocaust people. So as we begin to wake up as a people, these imposters can come to us and say, we sympathize with you because we have gone through the same atrocities. When in fact, they are the ones behind everything that has happened to us since Rome. And how many Jewish people died during the transatlantic slave trade? None. This is why they hardly mention us and other races being murdered by Hitler. It's all for sympathy, but they couldn't get that sympathy if it was known that we were murdered right along with them as well. And then the Jewish folk turned around and planned our demise and stole our identity via the transatlantic slave trade. This is why I have zero respect for these people. And I don't care who knows and who doesn't know the truth in their people because they all benefit off of the lie. And now that the cat is out of the bag, you have characters like this Ben Yehuda clown trying to capitalize while doing damage control. I don't see it and I'm not going. Oh, now you want to be truthful. But where was this truth when our people were searching for answers? Don't be fooled. He still tries to slip in things like, well, not all black people are from the tribe of Judah. I'd be like, brother, please just leave us be. It's already been proven that your people are not to be trusted. They get mad when you point out facts about them owning all the media and entertainment, even down to the porn companies. Kanye already showed how they run and control all these companies and media entertainment. They changed themselves from Romans to Jewish. And a lot of them, like a lot of their elites, they are from Esau's lineage, Amalek. They come from Amalek, one of Esau's sons. They changed themselves from Romans to Jewish and swindled the world by sacrificing their own people, commercializing and propaganda to minimize what happened to the true Jews, the Negroes, the natives, and the Latinos. I'm not debating whether their Holocaust sacrifice did or didn't happen, in which I don't believe it happened. But I am stating what they say happened to them is being used to throw everyone off concerning the prophecies of how Israel is supposed to be restored by the Most High. Their elite produced a scheme to make the world think Israel had been restored. These people always claim anti-Semitism, but they, Ashkenazi, which are the majority, the 98%, are not even from the seed of Shem. Even though the Sephardic Jews are from the seed of Shem, they come from Esau and not Jacob. I never really hear them say which of the 12 tribes of Israel they are from either. It's because they don't know. It's because they know they don't come from Jacob. I never really hear them say which of the 12 tribes of Israel they are from either. It's because they know they don't come from Jacob. There's a video on YouTube. Well, there was a video on YouTube. It was titled Holocaust Completely Exposed by David Cole that I had watched some time ago. The video has been removed and it exposed the Holocaust. Now, I am not making this next part up. I want to say that I've seen interviews of people who did go through the torture camps. I'm not denying their experiences. What they went through was horrible. But I am not going to act like I didn't see the other interviews as well. I remember seeing interviews with people who went into camps during the Holocaust that said they were not treated bad at all. There was classical music, and definitely not like the other interviews I'd seen. Sadly, there are no interviews from the victims of the transatlantic slave trade. Fuck out of here. When they showing you them pictures of them all looking like skeletons and stuff, malnutrition. Or it was something around. It was something going around at that time. It was a disease going around at that time that was plaguing people, making people sick. I think it might have been typhoid from what I read, what I can remember, but it was something that was going around making them sick. Not from being starved, but they were getting sick, like how during the Black Plague or the bubonic plague was making people ill. It was kind of something like that. Hmm. So let me go through because I want to show y'all. And you know what? I don't mean to hurt nobody's feelings, but at the same point in time, I've had it up to here with people's lies and withholding the truth, and you know it's time to get this out. It's time to, hey, y'all ain't care about our feelings for years. These are the facts. It's high time to awake out of sleep. You see it. Egypt pyramid on the back of your dollar bill. And what is this? Mm-hmm. Swift as the eagle flying. What is that? I don't know who this is, but I don't know who IsraelUnite.org. I have no affiliation with them. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bound men and bound women, and no man shall buy you. Deuteronomy 28, verse 68. Look at the back of your $1 bill. See anything that connects Egypt, which means bondage, and Amesica? And under that pyramid, do you see what their plan is? Novus Ordo Seclorum, aka New World Order. Notice on the other side of the $1 bill, there are a bunch of stars above the eagle. Same dirty bird that Rome and Spain uses. And these same two places have ties to Amesica. If you play a little game of connect the dots, you will see the outline of the six-pointed star. Read Revelation 12. This is the time we are in right now. The seals that are given in Revelation 6 were opened when Christ rose from the grave and he went back to heaven. Pay attention to Revelation 6, verses 8 through 11, King James Version. Now let me give you a history lesson, what they don't teach in school or church on Sundays. All right, Black history. According to the public school systems, Negroes were brought to America in 1619. They were forced to work as slaves on plantation until one day this great white man, Abraham Lincoln, came along and felt bad for the slaves. He signed the Emancipation Proclamation in 1863, which freed the slaves, but there were still some bad whiteys in the southern states that passed Jim Crow laws for segregation. And they not only passed those laws, they passed the black codes. We still suffering from the effects of the Willie Lynch letters. And a variety of other tactics that they have used. Secret experiments, on the Tuskegee Airmen, the spraying of tuberculosis in St. Louis, on us. They've always studied us. But afterwards, there came more whites that felt bad, so they gave the Negroes civil rights in the 1960s. And now, since Barack Obama was the president, everything is okay. And Negroes are finally equal to whites. We are all just one big happy family. The end. Yeah, right. Sure. So, what do you know about Black history? Prior to the transatlantic slave trade in the 1600s, what was your nationality? What did you call yourself? A lot of my people will say African. Well, Africa is a huge continent that was named after a white man named Scipio Africanus with over 47 countries. Which one do you come from? What language/tongue did we speak prior to the 1600s? Was it English? There are over 1,500 different dialects spoken in Africa. Pick one that your people spoke. To my black folk. What clothing did you wear? Was it stilettos, Jordans, and Timberland boots? Or was it them ugly Balenciaga shoes or those ugly red boots? Them Balenciaga shoes that look like moon boots. Ugh. Skinny jeans, fancy suits, Crocs and gaiters and Dob hats, and long trench coats and fur coats. What food did you eat? Was it pork, lobster, and shrimp? What religion did you partake in? Who was your God? Was it Christianity and Cesare Borgia with the white image of Jesus, who was the sixth Pope of Rome's son, who was a poisoner and had an incestuous relationship with his sister? And he was also Leonardo da Vinci's lover, who was commissioned to paint him. Oh. Who was your God? Was it Christianity and Cesare Borgia, the white image, Jesus, along with the Roman Catholic Church under Satan, who produced the Church of Garbage and Crisis, Pentecostal, Apple of Shit, and Islam? Because you know there was no Islam before the 7th century. You do know that, right? It was called Persian mythology. And they had 364 gods where they worshipped one God for each day. When the Roman Catholic Church came in, that's when they condensed it down to just one God, and then they created Muhammad. Well, they didn't create him, they just blew him up. Made him into a celebrity like how these people do, like how you see it today. Is it a coincidence that most people don't know the answer to these questions? No. Why is it that in public school systems, every time Black history is taught, it always starts around the early 1600s, 1619 through 1776, slavery? Why are the public school systems so committed to revolving Black history solely on the 400 years of slavery, 1619 through 1968, which is 349 years, and the past final 51 years leading up to the possible end of our captivity in 2019? Why else do you think these past few years have been so bad? Things will get worse. Our children are being deleted, and the people who do the deleting are getting off free from their crime. Is there a deficiency in our historical data? Maybe there's nothing at all prior to the 1600s. Maybe Black folk just poof out of thin air came about sporadically, landed on slave ships. And with Blacks being a new species, someone came up with a grand idea that Blacks can be imported all over the earth for free labor. What is the big secret about Black people? Well, what you will come to find out is Black people's identity is the biggest kept secret on the face of the earth. This secret of identity theft is bigger than NASA, bigger than UFO, bigger than Planet X or Nubaru or whatever. The elite has spent billions of dollars constructing substantial amounts of psychological stratagem to make sure you never receive the information in this book. Some of the most reputable biblical scholars, historians, and archaeologists know something that the average Black man does not know, and that is the Black man's identity. A people cursed by God. It is no more coincidence that the Black experience in America has been one of tremendous suffering. There are, in fact, spiritual implications regarding the deplorable condition that Blacks have suffered and continue to suffer. today. In order to understand the state of Black America, one must consider what the prophet tells us concerning Israel's future state of calamity. After Israel's liberation from bondage in Egypt, God promised that impending curses will be consequence for disobeying his laws, statutes, and commandments. These curses describe atrocities that the Israelites will face. Some of these atrocities include the loss of land, enslavement throughout the world, the adoption of false religious practices of their captors, and the loss of recognition as God's chosen will be forgotten, not only by the nations of the world, but also by the Israelites themselves. Today, we see the so-called African American who has no land, who is a product of slavery, who has wholly adopted the pagan customs of his former slave masters, and neither he nor others can speak specifically of his origins. A biblical prophecy is irrefutable evidence that the African Americans are the descendants of the ancient children of Israel, a people cursed by God. Okay. Zondervan Bible Dictionary. Ham, the youngest son of Noah, probably born about 96 years before the flood, and one of 8 persons to live throughout the flood. He became the progenitor father of the dark races, not the Negroes, but the Egyptians, the Ethiopians, Libyans, and the Canaanites. The Black Christian Church, set up by the Catholic/government, teaches in unison that all blacks came from the seed of Ham, which is not true. Once you open up the scholastic sources, you will come to find out that the biblical scholars are saying something totally different than what is taught in Orthodox Christianity. The Negroes themselves are a dark-skinned race, but not the Negroes. The biblical scholars are telling blacks that we are not Africans. There are only 4 families that make up the seed of Ham, real Africans. They include Mizraim, Egypt, Cush, Ethiopians, Put, Libyans, and the Canaanites, what is known as Israel and Palestine today. The biblical scholars know that blacks don't come from any of these 4 families. And let me just pause. I want to let y'all know I've already talked about this. The Canaanites were cursed because of something that Ham did with Noah's wife, his own mother. So Noah cursed Ham's seed, Canaan. Canaan was not given any land. Canaan was squatters. So they became squatters in Israel. Palestine and Israel, they squatted there. That land was not given to them. It was given to Shem. And so they were squatters. But here is the picture. All right. George M. Fredrickson, Stanford professor. The Black Image in the White Mind, one of my faves, page 74 through 75. In the 1840s, Morton collaborated with George R. Gliddon, an Egyptologist, who provided him with mummy heads and information about the racial significance of Egyptian tomb inscriptions. In Crania Aegyptiaca, published in 1814, Morton pointed out that both cranial and archaeological evidence showed that the Egyptians were not Negroes. Basically, a study was done to see if Africans, Ham, and Negroes that were in slavery at the time in the USA are the same people. The conclusion they came to is Africans and Negroes are not the same people. The physical characteristics on the outside, thick lips, broad nose, look similar, but on the inside, the researchers seen that the Negro's head was longer. The reason this study had taken place was to debunk the Negroes being the true children of Israel and to pass them off as Africans. As abolitionists and colonizationists had maintained, and that in fact blacks had been relegated to the same servile position in ancient Egypt as modern America. You get it? Right here. This is a fact. This is a receipt. This is a fact. Y'all like facts, right? Y'all like receipts? Here you go. So you can read that a little bit better for all my scholars. What Dr. Morton came to find is that the Negroes that were serving slavery in America were the same people who were slaves in Egypt. The same people that the Most High God led out of Egypt was now in America serving as slaves. The scholars are saying Negroes are the biblical Israelites. For people who actually read their Bible, you will see that slavery is a reoccurring central theme for the biblical Israelites. Slavery continued to happen all the way up until today. We came out of Egypt as slaves to the promised land, Israel. Soon as we arrived in Israel, we met the Assyrians who conquered us and made us slaves. And you can read that in 2 Kings 17, verse 6. 2 Kings 17, verse 6, King James Version. In the 9th year of Hoshea, the king of Assyria took Samaria and carried Israel away into Assyria and placed them in Halah and in harbor by the river Gozan and in the cities of the Medes. After that captivity, we were blessed to go back to Israel, only to be conquered and made to be slaves to the Babylonians, who are the Ethiopians, Cush of today. And you can read about that. 1 Chronicles 9. And that's verse 1, King James Version. King James Version. So all Israel were reckoned by genealogies, and behold, they were written in the book of the kings of Israel and Judah, who were carried away to Babylon for their transgressions. After the Babylonian captivity, we went back to Israel. We were sent into captivity again, but this time it will be the Persians who made us slaves. For we were bondmen, yet our God hath not forsaken us in our bondage, but hath extended mercy unto us in the sight of the kings of Persia, to give us a reviving, to set up the house of our God, and to repair the desolations thereof, and to give us a wall in Judah and in Jerusalem. And that's not talking about that Wailing Wall crap. You know what it be. And all of that at that wall, that's false doctrine. There's nowhere, that's false. That's something that they do. That was not told, that's not told for us to do in the Torah. You will not find that in the New Testament. That is something that they do only. Because they're imposters. From Persia back to Israel, rebuilding the temple only to go into captivity again by the Greeks. And that's 1 Maccabees 8 and 18. And I know I have 1 Maccabees 8 and 18, but I'm going to read 17 through 20. just for context. In consideration of these things, Judas chose Eupolemus, son of John, the son of Hakos, and Jason, the son of Eleazar, and sent them to Rome to make a league of amity and confederacy with them, and to entreat them that they would take the yoke from them, for they saw that the kingdom of the Greeks did oppress Israel with servitude. They went therefore to Rome, which was a very great journey, and came into the Senate, where they spake and said, Judas Maccabeus, that's where Maccabees came from, with his brethren and the people of the Jews have sent us to you. Oh, because Maccabees was black. To make a confederacy and peace with you, and that we might be registered your confederates and friends. So, it just pretty much describes how Judas sent Jason and Eupolemus to Rome to establish an alliance and friendship with the Romans in order to free Israel from the Greek kingdom's enslavement. After being slaves to these nasty people, who some scholars say sacrifice swine, pigs on our altars, this is why the Most High does not like pork, does not like for us to eat pork, because one, it is unhealthy for us, but two, which really should be one, that what he created to be the garbage disposal of the earth, eating decay flesh, its own babies, not being able to release toxins from his body because it has no sweat glands. What he meant for that to be, they took that and smeared it all on his altar. That's like a big F-bomb to you, to him. So, yeah, that's very disrespectful. I mean, so you can read about our captivity and in the book of Maccabees. So, but yeah, who some scholars say sacrificed swine on our altars. We went back to Israel and rebuilt the temple again, only to have the most abominable people ever, Romans, come to Israel, take over the land, and make us slaves. Israel has been through so much slavery that at one point the prophet Jeremiah asks, is Israel put here just to be slaves? And you can read that in Jeremiah 2 verse 14. Is Israel a servant? Is he a homeborn slave? Why is he spoiled? If the so-called Negro is a part of the 12 tribes of Israel, how in the world did we get to the west coast of Africa? And I have it right here, Luke 21, 20 through 24, King James Version. And when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh. Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of it depart out of it. Depart out, and let not them that are in the countries enter thereinto. For these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. But woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. For there shall be great distress in the land, and wrath upon this people. And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. This is Christ speaking to his people, telling them when they start to see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, flee into the mountains or else be slaughtered. The mountains he was speaking of was the Atlas Mountains that our ancestors used to cross into Africa via Morocco. This will be the same route Joseph and Mary had taken when they fled to keep Christ alive from Herod. From Babylon to Timbuktu, by Dr. Rudolph R. Windsor, page 84. In the year 65 BC, the Roman armies under General Pompey captured Jerusalem. In 70 AD, General Vespasian and his son Titus put an end to the Jewish state with great slaughter. During the period of the military governors of Palestine, many outrages and atrocities were committed against the residue of the people. During the period from Pompey to Julius, it has been estimated that over 1 million Jews fled into Africa, and they were not white, fleeing from Roman persecution and slavery. The slave markets were full of black Jew slaves. Let me repeat that. The slave markets. From Babylon to Timbuktu by Dr. Rudolph R. Windsor, page 84. The slave markets were full of black Jew slaves. Because we're not ish. We're the real thing. We are the Jews. The ones who did not take heed to Christ's warning was captured and taken back to Europe to be sold into slavery. And some even became the gladiators you see in the movies today. Maximus was a real black man, and so were the legendary Spartan army. Page 86. The pagan and the Romans attacked the Jews indiscriminately, both Jew soldiers and the uninvolved peaceful population without mercy. Let me read that again. The pagan and the Romans, the pagan whose holidays you celebrate, Saturnalia, which is Christmas, Samhain, All Hallows Eve, Halloween, Thanksgiving. Those are all pagan holidays that you celebrate. You celebrate them. But then you want to tell people, I bet not see you at Walmart. I'm going to bust you in your head. But you celebrating these holidays where our ancestors were slaughtered. The pagan and the Romans attacked the Jews indiscriminately, both Jewish soldiers and the uninvolved peaceful population without mercy. As a result of this merciless attack, many Jews fled to those parts of northwest Africa, northwest, not northeast, northwest, away from Ethiopia, away from Libya, away from Somalia, far away from Somalia. As a result of this merciless attack, many Jews fled. I am not Somalian. As a result of this merciless attack, many Jews fled to those parts of northwest Africa known as Tunisia, Algeria, Morocco, and Mauritania. Many other Jews fled to areas where Rome did not have any jurisdiction. This was the region of the South Sahara Desert and the Sudan. Oh, and that's where the original Egyptians are at, in Sudan. Grazo says, such is the explanation of how the Sahara Desert first acquired Jewish tribes toughened by a fighting tradition and possessed of physical characteristics, blacks, which it is said still makes them approximately very closely the original Jew population of Palestine. After we arrived in Africa, we were still fighting the Romans, which caused us, after we arrived in Africa, we were still fighting the Romans, which caused us to migrate into the lower parts of Africa, sub-Saharan Africa. Biblical scholars know this information for a fact. They know our history before the 1600s. It is us blacks that don't know our own history. The sad part about this is most of our people, young and old, in the church, don't care about their history, especially in the church. What's even worse is the unbelief and doubt from our own people when they are told they are the true Israelites of the Bible. This is why Ahiah, who is the Most High's real name, not Yahweh, not Jehovah. So, in Christ's name isn't, his real name ain't Jesus. So, actually, Yeah, Denzel, he was still baptized under the wrong name, but even if he would have said Jesus, he still was baptized under the wrong name. And even if you want to say Jesus Christ, that's not his last name. So, um, this is why Ahia says in Hosea 4 and 6, King James Version, his people. Oh, and you can find out what I've said their real names are. I already have the videos. Says in Hosea 4 and 6, King James Version, his people will be destroyed due to lack of knowledge. He was not talking about multiplication and algebra. Don't get things twisted. Being an Israelite will not get you an automatic stamp into heaven. Let me say that again. Don't get things twisted. Being an Israelite will not get you an automatic stamp into heaven. Let me say it one more time. Don't get things twisted. Being an Israelite will not get you an automatic stamp into heaven. Did you hear that? For the people who like to go against Israelites? Did you hear what I just said? Okay. Even though we have to start somewhere, and as for me, I felt something good when I found this truth out. I finally felt like I belonged somewhere, but knowing your history is only a minute fraction of what is required of you. You have to follow the law to the best of your ability, and you have to have the testimony of Christ. Also, know that you cannot be justified by the law alone. You have to believe in his son Yeshua, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. You have to believe that he redeemed you from the curse of the law, hell, the lake of fire, which is what we all deserve, death, and the grave. You have to dwell in forgiveness. I'm still working on this today. We all fall short on something, but we have to strive to get better. And no, I know that nobody is the only one perfect is the Father, but we still have to strive because the law is what's going to be upheld in the kingdom. You have to know and believe what he did for you on that tree, which is a cross, because the tree was wood and that makes the cross. So I'm not saying that, he was hung on a tree. No, I'm saying the tree represents the wood, that's the cross. And know that he is no longer on that tree, on the cross. He is simply waiting for the Father to give the command so he can come save us, because no one is saved yet. Even if we are Israel, we have to realize that we have to be grafted back into the covenant he made with us so that we can partake in the new covenant and accept the fact that some of our enemies will repent and be accepted into the covenant as well. Learn to love, but don't love ignorantly. We have to be wise as serpents and harmless as doves, but this does not mean don't defend yourself or flee from danger. I lived in a city that I felt had a dark cloud over it, Toledo, Ohio, to be exact. The city is 45 minutes away from Detroit, where they had opened up a new satanic church worshiping the Baphomet, Satan himself, which explains why things are so bad around the Detroit area, hence the Flint, Michigan water crisis, in which was a government plan, but that demonic spirit is leading the authorities to do those hideous acts upon the people of Flint. This is where the spiritual wickedness in high places come into play, because it starts in the spiritual and it manifests into the physical. Well, what do you know? Hebrewisms of West Africa by Dr. Joseph J. Williams, page 227. Whatever may be thought of the more or less mythological traditions connected with the earliest Jews in North Africa, it is now practically an established fact that a Jewish nation, Jewish at least in faith and perhaps too in origin, long held sway south of the Sahara. Judea Trembles Under Rome by Rudolph R. Windsor states the following on the front cover of the book. The untold details of the Greek and Roman military domination of ancient Palestine during the time of Jesus of Galilee, page 158. The nations of the world became surprised at the visage appearance and low conditions of the Israelites that they put in captivity, slavery, and exile. Moreover, the Jews and Hebrews were persecuted and marred more than any other people. Not only were our ancestors sex slaves, they were the best gladiators that had taken part in bizarre games. See, and that's where all these weird fetishes and dominations and all of this stuff come from, because throughout time we've always been the escorts. We've always been the p words. We've always been essayed. And then they just like a narcissist. They do all of this stuff, and then that was in the past. You're still doing it. Negroes, a sight in Rome, were matched with each other. A dwarf might be pitted against a woman. Why? Our ancestors broke the commandments of the Most High. Read Jeremiah 16, I dare you. Earlier, I mentioned our ancestors being sex slaves for these filthy people, Romans. Well, it's true, and this is still happening today. When I was in the sodomite hookup lifestyle, I would never date a white man because I always felt most of them are nasty, racist, and hypocritical, way more than the white heterosexual men. Some gay white men are the most racist people ever, but they desire secretly to have sex with the blacks because gay white men, I'm sorry, but they desire secretly to have sex with the blacks because of their own racist small issue between their legs. I seen a lot of this racist behavior when I was on the gay hookup apps such as Grindr and Jacked. It's no secret that black men are more well endowed than white men. This is why the horrible term BBC, Big Black Cock, was created. BBC is why white women would have secret relationships with their husbands' slave masters, slaves. But let's not forget, the white man loves to have sex with our women and men because their own white wives don't please them sexually either. It is the same way in the sodomite lifestyle, and even worse. The white men hate the black man in every way but in the bedroom. They hate the black man in the daytime, but they are the first ones to bend over or get on their knees at night. When I would turn down a white guy, occasionally I would get called all kinds of names from monkey to nigger to sand nigger, which did not surprise me. Actually, it made me happy. My feelings were validated. Now, what shocked me is when I was called racist because I didn't want to have sex with a white man. This is a reverse psychology tactic they use. They do this when they can't get what they want. It only proves how some of them feel that they still own us and can control us. I am not glorifying any of this. I am sharing what I have experienced and seen. I am simply keeping it real. I am not ashamed, nor am I apologizing for sharing what I've been through either. This is nothing new throughout history. Hold on one moment. This is nothing new. Throughout history, whites have treated us like dirty sex objects because some of them are just flat out perverted and filthy. They love pain and most are into bondage slash S&M, being fisted and whipped. I know you are all like, fisted? What the hell is that? If you are someone who has to visually see what I'm talking about instead of just trusting what I say, look it up for yourself. You won't get off on this sick act, or you could take my word for it. It's immoral and very sick. Just like just like you will not see many blacks at the Winter X or Winter Olympics games. You won't see too many blacks getting into the sexual perversions that whites get into. But you know, we blacks always have that one house nigga that has to be like the whites. This all ties into what their ancestors did to us in Rome. We were their sex slaves in Rome and in Greece. Nothing is new under the sun, and history will repeat itself during slavery when our men and our women were essayed by Esau, Mayo, the Caucasus Mountain people. Sex Lives of the Roman Emperor by Nigel Cawthorne, page 135. As Emperor Domitian revived the old law banning homosexual intercourse with boys or free birth along with many other vices, even though he continued to practice most of them himself. He also prohibited the castration of boys. It was said that he did this because of his brother Titus' fondness for eunuchs, uh, men whose rod had been cut off. Castrated boys were no longer to be sold to brothels or used for the purpose of prostitution, and a maximum price was fixed for those remaining in the hands of slave dealers in an attempt to discourage the practice. The emperor, however, was above the law. He kept a number for himself and he used them for sex. Yeah, they always been like that. Okay. Buck breaking, the process where black men were routinely raped by their gay slave owners. Did you know that during slavery in the U.S., gay white slaveholders would buy male slaves to engage in forced homosexual sex acts? The Buck's male child was required to watch front row center so he too can witness his father's sexual demise and humiliation. See, so for all of y'all, straight white men that feel like you're marginalized and you're oppressed, this ain't nobody did this to you, but you did this to us, and you ate us too. You ate us. Buck breaking, the process where black men were routinely raped by their gay slave owners. Did you know that during slavery in the U.S., gay white slaveholders would buy male slaves to engage in forced homosexual sex acts? The Buck's male child was required to watch front row center so he too can witness his father's sexual demise and humiliation. The slave master would savagely sodomize the Buck, aka defiant male slave, in front of his wife, family, friends, and children. Buck breaking was a slave master's very effective tool to keep all young black slaves from ever being defiant and taking revenge. Hashtag let the truth be told. Buck breaking and sex farms. Oh yeah, I'm sure y'all want to see the picture. I'm sure y'all want to see it. Let me see. And just to let it be known, I hope this don't cut off. gotta use that word. Ugh. I feel like this dude right here is staring right at me. I think I can go a little bit longer. This is not talking about women. Edomite Romans, white men, Mayo, aka Idumea, aka Esau, aka Edom, took our men and prostituted them to other men, and many white men kept our men for sex slaves. This continued into a Mexican slavery with buck breaking, in which I go into greater detail about this act of sodomy rape further into the book. If the so called Negro is a part of the 12 tribes of Israel, how did they get to the west coast of Africa? Luke 21, verses 21 through 24, King James Version, is where Yeshua told the 12 disciples to flee into the mountains which led to the wilderness, also known as Africa. When they seen Jerusalem surrounded by the filthy Roman army, the mountains he was speaking of are south of Israel, known to be today as the Judean Mountains. Encyclopedia of the Jewish Diaspora, Origins, Experiences, and Culture, Volume 1, page 454 by Mark Arvum Ehrlich, Professor of Judaic Studies. Quote, in later centuries, Jews are believed to have settled in Western Africa during the height of the Songhai, Mali, Ghana, Canaan, Bornu Empire. According to the accounts from explorers of the region, several powerful Jew families of the Songhai Empire were of Jewish origin. Some accounts place West African Jew communities in the Ando forest of Dahomey, south of Timbuktu. In the 1930s, these groups still maintain a Torah scroll written in Aramaic that had been burned into parchment with a hot iron instead of ink, so it could not be changed. So, that didn't come from me. That came from your boy Mark Avram Ehrlich, a professor of Judaic Studies. What did it say? Some accounts placed West African Jew communities in the Ando forest of Dahomey, south of Timbuktu. In the 1930s, these groups still maintained a Torah. You know what a Torah is, right? It's the Bible. First 5 books of the Bible. A Torah scroll written in Aramaic. It's like a Hebraic language that had been burned into parchment with a hot iron instead of ink, so it cannot be changed. In other words, in the 1930s, white historians went to Africa and came across a remnant of Hebrew that had not been captured. These true Hebrew had in possession a Torah, the first 5 books of the Bible given to Moses, written in Aramaic, a form of the ancient Hebrew language. It is a shame that they had to burn the ink in hot iron so that the Caucasus Mountain colonialists, snakes, white devils could not tamper and change things on the scroll to try and hide our history. Because that's what they do. They go bury stuff that they created and then they dig it up and say, look what we found. This proves our existence. From Babylon to Timbuktu. And Before this do cut off, I do want to ask you: have you ever seen white dirt? Have you ever seen white dirt? I ain't never seen white dirt. Have you? Have you ever seen white dirt? Have you ever seen, uh, you know, white dirt? From Babylon to Timbuktu by Dr. Rudolph R. Windsor, page 90. The black Jews had an advantage over the African tribes. They carried their culture, history, laws, and written records with them. The Jews made use of every opportunity. They were an industrious and skillful people. In the Jewish Ghanaian states, Larry Reed, in the Jewish Ghanaian states, Dr. Reed, Jeremy. In the Jewish Ghanaian states were found kings, princes, governors, generals, secretaries, treasurers, revenue agents, judges, architects, engineers, doctors, historians, language interpreters, mathematicians, jewelers, sculptors, masons, stone, not secret society, carpenters, painters of art, goldsmith, leather workers, potters, armor, saddlers, blacksmith, agriculturists, etc. Whoever whites told blacks that our ancestors were in Africa, dumb, naked, and swinging from vines. Whoever whites, Mayo, whoever told whites, blacks, whoever told us blacks, white people, that our ancestors were in Africa, dumb, naked, and swinging from vines, told lies, and I am speaking in reference to the Hebrews that dwelled in Africa. We were, and still are a prestigious people. We are royalty. We have simply lost our way. I can't speak on the authentic Africans because I am not African. And I'm going to read this. This is from Lord Macaulay's address to the British Parliament on February 2nd, 1835. I have traveled across the length and the breadth of Africa, and I have not seen one person who is a beggar, who is a thief. Such wealth I have seen in this country. Such high moral values, continent. Such high moral values, people of such caliber that I do not think we would ever conquer this country unless we break the very backbone of this nation, which is her spiritual and cultural heritage, and therefore I propose that we replace her old and ancient education system, her culture, for if the Africans think that all that is foreign and English is good and greater than their own, they will lose their self-esteem. Baby, they never had it. Their native culture, and they will become what we want them, a truly dominated nation. Well, we always had self-esteem. They never had self-esteem. And that's what people do when you are esteemed, you are a high people. They come in, they try to paint you as the villain. They try to paint you as as the lower one. Because really, they can't take your greatness. And that's how it's always been. So, we always had self-esteem. They never had it. And that's what I meant. They never had it. That's why they wanted to replace ours. Because they never had it. And if you can't beat them, they didn't want to join us. Because they don't want to be equal. They never wanted to be. It's us that want to be equal. It's us that wants to be nice. It's us that wants to invite everyone to the cookout. But you seen they came in and took over a portion of our cookout, which is country music, and then got the nerve to turn around and say who's not invited to the party. Not Beyonce Giselle. She is the party. Because we like to party. Let me stop. So, hold on. Let me go back up. Did I show this? Oh, yeah, I did show this picture. And thank you for your time. Yeah, I can't have all the music and everything else. I can't have all of that. Doom, doom, doom. Can't have all of that because I don't want to get copyrighted. They already gonna be mad at me because of what I'm talking about. Encyclopedia of the Jewish Diaspora, Origins and Experiences and Culture, Volume 1, page 454 by Mark Avram Ehrlich, Professor of Judaic Studies. The decline of the Jew communities of the West Africa, Maghreb, most likely began with the influx of Arab invaders into North Africa starting in 640 CE and later into West Africa in the 1300s and 1400s CE. This proves what I am stating about Hebrews dwelling in West and Central Africa for 1300 to 1485 years. From the time we fled in 70 AD, which would bring us to the year 1370. After the seventh, around the year 1370, after the 7th century, Muhammad and his band of Muslim thugs came to the west coast of Africa with the devil's book, the shitty Quran, that is the book of lies and should be burned, in one hand and a sword in the other hand. These filthy devil worshippers forcibly converted Hebrew Israelites into that nonsense Islam. Yes, I said it, nonsense, which was started by the Roman Catholic Church with Satan. This was after our ancestors established communities and empires on the west coast of Africa. When the Arabs forcibly converted our people into that BS, which is Islam, our Hebraic community started to decline. This will be the forefront of the transatlantic slave trade, which started with the Arabs. We cannot just blame the white man. Joel chapter 3, verses 4 and 6, King James Version. Tyre, Zidon, and the coast of Palestine, the Canaanites, are all ancient Africans. The Africans conspired with the Greeks, Europeans, and they sold the Israelites dwelling on the west coast of Africa into slavery. The Africans were given guns and ammo by the Europeans for their part in the shady deal of turning over the Hebrews. You have to remember, these were people living in the land of Canaan, whose name was changed to Palestine, then changed to Israel. These people were in the land first, and we, the Hebrew, took over the land of Palestine that was given to us by our father Ahiah by Hashem Yeshaya. This was around the Exodus. Joshua, with our faithful leader Moses time period, which was in BC, before Christ physically walked the earth in flesh. This is why they fought us when we fled into their land in 70 AD. It was what I like to call payback, all ordained by the Most High because we were disobedient. This all seems like Psalms 83, verses 3 through 12 to me. I will keep stating that there is a difference between Africans and the so-called black man, who are Negroes, in America. And Africans did not come here on slave ships. Hebrews came here on slave ships. Read Deuteronomy 28, 15 through 68, King James Version. Did you know both America and Africa was renamed after a Caucasus Mountain white man. Africa equals Scipio Africanus. He was an elder and consul of the Roman Republic. We all know who Amerigo Vespucci is. Oh, I'm sorry, Amerigo Vespucci is. White folk named a Messica after him. Why? Does it matter why? There were already people living on this land. For him to rename it means he is a thief. There were already people living on this land, so for him to rename it means he is a thief. What I do know is Vespucci and Africanus are both white, and I, John Savage, am no African American. The spell/curse is broken. And I have a picture here. Atlas of the Transatlantic Slave Trade by Professor David Eltis and Professor David Richardson, both buyers, Europeans, and sellers, Africans, saw the people traded into captivity on the African coast as outsiders. Africans to this day tell the so-called black man that he is not African, and it flies right over his head. Africans seen us as outsiders because we migrated to their land and we live exceptionally good because we are blessed. We are a blessed people. Africans knew we are not the same due to our customs. Africans are an immensely proud people who would never sell their own people. They knew that we are not their people. That's why they sold us. And to this day, I hear like some Africans be like, "You're not African." When Europeans wrote about our history in the books, children are taught out of in school. When the Europeans wrote about our history in the books, children are taught out of in school, in which they mainly refer to the transatlantic slave trade era and so forth up. They should have written native Africans sold Israelites or Hebrews that were living in Africa into slavery, which paints a different picture than Africans sold other Africans into slavery, which is a half-truth that is in the Mexican history books that are exposed to children. Israelites, Negroes, blacks are not African, even though we look similar on the outside and we lived on the same land at one point. But we must remember, we did not start in Africa. Black Jews in Africa and the Americas by Tudor Parfit, page 111. There are both oral and written explanations that trace the origin of the Igbo, and the most tantalizing is an association of the Igbo to the Hebrew race. This is who T.D. Jakes come from. T.D. Jake the snake. Okay, that's where we come from. This assumption is based on the fact that Igbo culture has many similar traditional customs like that of the Jews. Similar customs are observed in marriage negotiations, childbirth, and circumcision, restitution, attitude to totem animals and taboos, as well as hospitality to others, especially to strangers, etc. The Igbo are therefore said to be the split and lost group or tribe of Israel that refused to wander further northeast with Moses, but preferred going down southward. Encyclopedia of the Jewish Diaspora, Origins, Experiences, and Culture, Volume 1, page 494 by Mark Avram Ehrlich, Professor of Judaic Studies. The Igbo people have many Jewish traditions. Naam Katz, the current Israeli ambassador in Nigeria, and others point to their possible ancient Israelite origins. It ain't possible, honey. It is. It's not possible because it is exact. See, when it's that's a possibility. No, it's not a possibility. It is. The scholars have done extensive research on the Igbo and compared their traditions to the biblical Israelites. They concluded that their customs are strikingly similar to the biblical Israelites. You don't say. And that the only way the Igbo tribe could be practicing the customs of the biblical Israelites so accurately is that they must be the biblical Israelites. Well, duh. What is the crucial factor between the Igbo tribe and Negroes in Mexico? When you do your own research, you will find that the Igbo tribe was one of the main sought out tribes that was captured and sold into slavery. Through the transatlantic slave trade, the Igbo was one of the main tribes that came to the Americas. And that's from a professor of Judaic studies. You know, your boy Mark Abram Ehrlich. Atlas of the Transatlantic Slave Trade, page 127, by Professor David Eltis and Professor David Richardson. The British were the major buyers before they banned their own slave traffic in 1807. They were replaced by Portuguese and Spanish for as long as the traffic continued here. The majority of the captives were speakers of Igbo dialects. The native Africans and Europeans knew exactly who they were selling. The Romans, the Caucasus Mountain people, are Satan. He started out as a snake in Genesis and grew into a dragon by the time that we got to Revelation. The Romans go into other people's native lands, conquering the native people in the land by deleting their men and essaying their women, which produce lighter skinned offspring, mixing of races. Worst of all, after the Romans do their evil deeds, they take the history of the people that they conquer, they hide, destroy, rename, or change, alter, iconoclasm, aka whitewash, the indigenous people's history and records completely. This is how they did us, the true children of Israel. They stole our history and culture, claiming to be God's chosen people when they are really the synagogue of Satan. These black Christian churches don't even have a clue. They too busy collecting illegal tithes and pushing the prosperity movement and essaying little girls and boys and selling them into, sex trafficking. The black church is dead. God is not dealing with these churches, period. They push doctrines of laws done away with and Sunday worship, which is lawlessness. They believe they can live however they want because they are under grace. And by that, what I mean is they can celebrate paganism, they can eat what they want, they can be married and have kids all over the city, but then be on the news, begging for donations for the establishment, not even equating that the sins of the father get passed down to the child. Yeah, but they believe they can live however they want because they're under grace. They barely read the Bible with understanding, which is why many lack the true knowledge of the doctrine of Christ. This is why no one talks about black history prior to the 1600s, because of the possibility of blacks finding out who they truly are. If blacks start digging prior to the 1600s and they find out they descend from the Igbo tribe, who are known for a fact, scientifically proven, to descend from the 12 tribes of Israel, a lot of blacks will be like, hold up, something not right. This is why the history books don't go past the 1600s. Blacks were not supposed to find out their true identity. We went from Negroes and colored to African Americans. I know a lot of people ask, if we are the true children of the God of Israel, why does he keep letting us go through slavery, building up other nations or kingdoms? Well, the answer is, let me show y'all what I just read. So you see what time it is, right? So I'm gonna just start from up here because I can't remember. I don't know if I showed that or not. That's exactly how I be too. Cause I know what I know. Like, you are so dumb. Black people sold black people into slavery. Shut your stupid self up. Stupid. Alright, so that is, well, I guess the video is not gonna cut off this time. Well, it might cut off, but at least it will cut off um, after I've said this is where I'm going to stop reading. And I want to thank you for your time. And you saw what time it was at night, you know. And so, I don't know. Tomorrow, my plans is to wake up and Lord's will, and get dressed, and you know, get a few things done, and I will come back and read some more. Like I said, I do want to thank you for your time and for your support. For those of who do support my videos, thank you for subscribing. You know, to my subscribers who have subscribed. I don't even know how to see who has subscribed to me. I don't know anything about YouTube, but I know I don't want no ads on my videos because I'm tired. I'm tired of ads. I'm tired of advertisement. Man, I was like screen recording a video that I'm working on. I know, right? I was screen recording for another video that I'm working on. This is going to be a future video, or this might be just something that I post onto one of my social medias, and while I'm talking about it, then I'll just go to my social media page and show you from my laptop. And so, what I was saying was an ad popped up on one of the things I was reading, and it's just, and the ad would not go away. It would not go away. It was for some restaurant or something like that, but it would not go away. And then I tried to click it, and it took me to that page, and I'm just like, I'm so tired of ads. I am. So that's why I don't care about my videos being monetized. I don't. You know, if people want to donate, then that's fine. You know, but I don't care. I don't want nobody to be, oh, don't say this or your channel's gonna be demonetized. Bitch, demonetize it. Because I ain't trying to make no money off the Most High. You know, this is important to me. This is what I do. This is what I'm into. And I am on this journey. And I thank you for your time. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your prayers. And just remember, man or woman, don't let anybody take your joy, your love, your compassion, because it is some hurt people out here. They don't want to heal. You know, they want to be around, you know, people that are not good for them. And to my people that are like me, that can stand by themselves, be by themselves, live by themselves, don't need a group, don't need a crowd. You keep on fighting a good fight. You keep on running a race that whatever race you are in, because I know what race I'm in. I'm in a race, with myself to do what I'm doing now. Never thought I would be doing anything like this, but here I am. So, Savage out.